2 days after I signed an $80,000 check for my son's wedding, the restaurant manager called me, his voice shaking like he was afraid someone was listening. "Mr. Barnes, please don't put this on speaker. You need to see something. Come alone and don't tell your wife. I'm Elijah Barnes, 70 years old, and nothing in 40 years of business prepared me for the knife that call put in my back. I was at my kitchen table that morning, watching my wife Beatrice hum a gospel tune while she arranged lilies. 40 years of marriage. I'd built a logistics empire from one rusted truck to 300, and she'd been there since the beans out of Akan days. The wedding the day before had been perfect. I'd given Terrence and his new wife Megan the deed to our lake house, $500,000 free and clear. Terrence had cried. Megan had smiled, but the smile never touched her eyes, and I remembered now the quick look she'd shot Beatrice across the room. Not gratitude, confirmation. Tony, the venue manager, was waiting for me at the service entrance, sweating, pacing. He led me to a windowless security office and pulled up footage from the VIP suite, recorded 40 minutes after the last guest left. Beatrice walked in, energy in her stride, no trace of the limp she faked for church. She popped a bottle of champagne and poured 2 glasses. Megan walked in behind her, wedding dress still on, heels already off. "To the stupidest man in Atlanta," Megan said and drank. "To Elijah," Beatrice laughed. "The goose that lays the golden eggs." I sat frozen as they toasted my own money, laughing about the lake house, about liquidating it in 6 months for cash. Then Megan rubbed her stomach. "I just hope Terrence doesn't get suspicious. He actually thinks this baby is his." Beatrice warned her never to let me find out about the personal trainer. If I asked for a DNA test, they'd lose everything. Then Beatrice's voice dropped cold. "I switched his heart medication 3 weeks ago, crushing digoxin into his morning smoothie, a little every day. It looks like natural heart failure. My wife was murdering me one breakfast at a time, and that wasn't the worst of it. Megan let it slip the baby wasn't Terrence's. It was her personal trainer's, a man named Chad. Beatrice waved it off. Once I was gone, no one would question the birth certificate, and the family trust would unlock for the first grandchild, regardless of whose blood it carried. Then Beatrice said something that hollowed me out entirely. Terrence wasn't mine either. He was Pastor Silas's son, my best friend, the man who'd baptized him, prayed over my table every Sunday for 3 decades. I didn't call the police. A good lawyer would call the video fake, get them out on bail, and bury me in court while they burned the evidence. Instead, I told Tony to copy it to a flash drive, and I told him what I was going to do. I'm going to let them think they're winning. I'm going to drink her smoothie. And when they think they've buried me, I'm going to take everything. I drove home. Beatrice handed me the green smoothie with that same warm smile she'd worn for 40 years. I lifted it, let it fill my mouth, and spat it into a napkin when I pretended to cough. I repeated the trick until the glass was low enough to satisfy her. Then I went to the living room, waited 20 minutes, and collapsed onto the rug, gasping, still silent. She didn't call 911. She didn't even check my pulse. She kicked me hard, muttering, "Wake up, old man," then laughed and called Megan. "The fish has bitten, he's not moving." "Bring the binder." She put on gospel music and hummed Amazing Grace over what she believed was my corpse. Terrence arrived panicked, wanting to call an ambulance, and for 1 second I thought my son might save me. Then Megan slapped him. "If you call now, he might live and we stay poor." Beatrice produced a forged DNR, told him it was my wish, told him to let me go in peace. He set the phone down. He chose them. I lay there and felt whatever was left of my heart turn to stone. I let them write the fake timeline, sign the false discovery report, and then I coughed myself back to life, disoriented, confused, harmless. Beatrice recovered instantly, playing the sobbing wife. I told them the dizzy spell had shown me how fragile everything was, that I wanted to name a single heir and hand over the whole estate the following Sunday at church, with Pastor Silas presiding. Their eyes lit with hunger. I turned 3 conspirators into 3 competitors overnight. That week I built my case. I stole hair from Terrence's brush. I lifted Silas's coffee cup right off his desk while he fetched me water. A private lab confirmed what I already knew. Silas was Terrence's biological father, 99.9%. The smoothie napkin tested positive for a lethal, execution-grade dose of digoxin, not maintenance murder. I wired myself and met Megan at a coffee shop, where she demanded full power of attorney over Terrence, called him a puppet, and threatened that if I refused, she'd tell the world I'd assaulted her. I got every word on tape. I froze every account in the family's name and let Beatrice believe it was a hacking attempt, pinning suspicion quietly on Megan. Sunday came. First Baptist was packed, cameras rolling, live stream running exactly as I'd arranged with Silas, who thought he was getting a celebration of his own generosity. I stood at the pulpit in my best suit and told them I was ready to hand over everything. Then I nodded to my attorney in the back row, and the massive screen behind the choir lit up with the security footage from the VIP lounge. The congregation watched my wife toast to poisoning me. They watched Megan mock her own husband's child as another man's mistake. They watched Beatrice, in her own kitchen, crushing pills into green liquid, saying into her phone, "I put a double dose in. It should happen quickly today." Then came the cafe footage, Megan's extortion, word for word. Then the paternity results blown up letter by letter, Silas Jenkins, 99.9% probability. Then a second test on the unborn child, Chad Miller, 99.9%. The sanctuary became a riot. Deacons blocked Silas at the exit before he could run. Terrence collapsed to his knees, screaming that none of it could be true, then screaming worse when he understood that it was. Megan turned on him in front of 500 witnesses. "Look at you. You're pathetic, I wanted the money," and shoved him to the floor. Sirens cut through the chaos as police walked in and arrested Beatrice for attempted murder, Megan for conspiracy and extortion, Silas for decades of embezzled church funds. I knelt in front of the one man left standing there in wreckage, Terrence, sobbing, begging me to understand he hadn't known about the poison. I told him the truth plainly. He wasn't going to jail because he hadn't mixed anything. But he'd watched me die on that floor and chosen silence over saving me, and that made him a stranger to me all the same. I dropped a check at his feet made out to him for $0 and told him the other $25 million, every account, every property, every share, had already gone to the West Side orphanage. Then I walked out of that church a free man, no wife, no son by blood or by loyalty, no empire. I climbed into a cherry-red '67 Shelby Cobra I'd bought with cash the day before. The car Beatrice always called too flashy for a respectable man, and I drove away without looking back. I spent 40 years believing that providing for a family was the same as being loved by one. I was wrong. Blind trust isn't a virtue, it's a liability, and the people sleeping under your own roof can be the most dangerous enemies you'll ever face. Real family isn't blood or a marriage certificate. It's loyalty, plain and simple. If you have to pay for affection, you're only ever renting a lie. I walked away with nothing but my name, and it turned out that was enough.